So, fun fact about me, I didn't grow up watching Beast Wars. I watched it at the end of 2019 while recovering from foot surgery, and one of my favorite characters was Ravage, who wasn't in the show for long, but his appearance was a really good way to connect G1 to Beast Wars. The only question I have is, why is Jaguar Man Russian? Why in the process of rebuilding him, why did that suddenly turn him into a Russian? It's not terrible, it's just one of the few oddities, or actually one of the many oddities in the show, that's still amusing to go back and watch and listen to this day. So how we looking here? It looks pretty good. For the most part, it's really show accurate outside of like some extra details in the backpack, but this is also a heavy retool/remold of the Kingdom Cheetor, and for what they were working with, I think they did pretty good. The only thing that's really odd is the extra little bit of paint accents that weren't present on the character's show model, which is really odd because Hasbro doesn't really go out of the way to do that kind of thing where they add extra details that weren't there. I'm not complaining, mind you. It's just really odd to find that, like, hey, this guy has some paint where he didn't originally. It's not really terrible, it's just like neat. The accessories you get with Ravage are his twin guns that tab into his side, so hooray, proper weapon storage. And he also comes with a G1 version of Ravage, which is just a reissue of the G1 figure, so it's not really an accessory, it's more of another figure. Also, if you want to know more about the backstory of Covert Agent Ravage, just go watch the Agenda Part 1 and Part 2. That does a way better job of explaining his backstory than I could ever hope to. It's also just a really great couple of episodes of Beast Wars. That leads into a phenomenal third season. Articulation here is pretty well above average. The original version of the mold, Cheetor, was already above average in some areas, but the only place I'd say this one falls below is the knees and maybe pulling the legs back. And I was pleasantly surprised that the head has articulation, but since they have to make the robot mode head the same head as the Jaguar mode, they actually had to give it some sort of articulation, which I wish they did for Kingdom Cheetor and Shadow Panther, and obviously Tigatron as well. Transformation here is also super simple, yet really satisfying. The legs don't do too much, but the way everything works above the waist kind of surprised me with how super easy it was. Also, whenever you're transforming this thing, don't forget to add the guns onto the sides of his legs, again for weapon storage. That just kind of like replicates the look of G1 Ravage whenever he was in his Jaguar mode. The alternate mode for Ravage here is, well, it's a Jaguar. If you know who the character Ravage is, you should know by now that he turns into a Jaguar. And what's shown here, it's not a perfect rendition of a Jaguar, but I think it's close enough. The only real flaw, it's just going to be the chest hanging out on the bottom. Nothing really you can do about that. That's just more the way the character is designed. Kind of an impossibility to get that to turn into the bottom of a Jaguar, unless you just see this as a super jacked Jaguar. I'd say this figure is a super strong recommend, especially if you're a Beast Wars fan who wants to have a Ravage to fill in that hole in their collection, especially since he was really important to the story, despite only being in a couple of episodes. Or if you want, you can put him next to your Earthrise Netflix Soundwave. And I could go on and on about how happy this figure made me. Like, quite literally, this guy doesn't leave my desk at home. And the only thing that might sway some people is the price. And it's a Pulse exclusive. So hopefully you're able to get one if you want one. So, final rating, I'd say 8 out of 10. It'd probably be like a 10 out of 10 if it weren't for the Pulse exclusivity and the price. So, it's really the only thing I can find wrong with it that I dislike strongly. That's really all I have, so make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And if you're so inclined, please follow my social media pages down below in the description. And with that, I hope you guys all have a fantastic day, week, month, life, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye!